topic, the presentation today, I based it originally on the Orlando Stoics meeting that you mentioned. That was involving a daily Stoic article, but also I've added information from the IEP, the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and from Wikipedia, which is always a useful source as long as you confirm everything. So here we get started, is what is cosmopolitanism? And it's a very challenging question. It is used, of course, in the modern Stoicism movement, which we're all a part of. But if we reach back 2,000 years ago and today, and you consider these challenges of dealing with other people, it really is an ongoing challenge because of how many interesting human behaviors that we have. And so today I'm going to quickly relate this to the Cynics and their movement, and of course Diogenes and their origins. So we're going to consider, how did the Cynics treat people back then, and how we can apply that to modern times. Okay, so here's my first slide. It's on Antisthenes. He is, some people say he's the founder of Cynicism because his ideas were the forerunner of that school. Now, it's a little bit of a controversy there, but he did believe that virtue is needed to find happiness. And he wanted to emphasize how important your deeds are. In other words, what actions you take. He thought further that no matter how much higher learning that you have, it really comes down to your actions and your deeds that determine if you are a virtuous person. And also, I think because he was very questioning of society and the things that society gives us, you know, the laws, the rules, I think that he would have fit right in with a lot of the protests going on around the world today. Protests have become the norm. So I think Antisthenes would fit right in with that. But it is interesting to note also that he was a student of Socrates. And some think that he was a big influence and a teacher on Diogenes at Sinope, who we're going to discuss also. But that last part is question. That's why I've got a question mark there. Some people don't see it that way in the history. Now here we come to Diogenes at Sinope. There are a lot of people who think that he is the founder of Cynicism. And I put the full name here with Sinope on the end because he is sometimes confused with Diogenes Laertius, another famous Diogenes who lived 400 or 500 years later. He was the Greek biographer and historian who wrote about all these philosophers. So if you're Googling later, remember to look for the last name of which Diogenes that you're looking up. But this one, Diogenes grew up in Sinope. His father was a mint maker, that is, he minted coins. And so it was quite a scandal when Diogenes, as a young man, defaced some of those coins by striking off the face from the coin. And it's unclear how he got this idea. Some say he went to the oracle and there was some abstract recommendation that he took it the wrong way or whatever. But I think it very much is interesting to remember this part of his early history as a young man, because it shows his early view about society. He was already in conflict with what society was giving us. And so he didn't always accept those laws of society around him. Now, as a result of this scandal with the coins, he was banished and he went to live in Athens. And some of the dogs that you see in this picture, I'm going to explain that next. The origin of the nickname the dogs comes from the Greek word, which is kynikos. Kynikos means to be dog-like. And this is this origin of this Greek word is talked about a lot in Stoic articles today, even in videos. But when you research it a little further, you'll find out that there's another possible source for this nickname. And that is that there's a temple called the Kynosarges, which is where Antisthenes used to teach before Diogenes. And that temple name means the place of the white dog. The place of the white dog. Very interesting. This picture on the screen here, I was able to find it at an archaeology site. This is a picture from 1896, and they're excavating the Kenosarges temple. Today, I don't think you can even find it on maps like Google Maps or whatever. You can find the city called Kenosarges, which may be in the area, but this original temple is really in ruins at this point. Okay, so we come to the last slide here on cosmopolitanism itself. I've tried for brevity to reduce a lot of the ideas down to this short talk. And so the first thing I'll say is that Stoics versus Cynics, in terms of cosmopolitanism, the Stoics, of course, believe in the laws of society. Now, not in all cases, not 100%. You know, there may be some laws that need to be overturned, but in general, the Stoics consider those laws of society and your city and your country to be a part of the concept of living according to nature, because that's, of course, how we get along with other people. If I go out driving on the street and I decide to ignore all the red stop signs, I'm going to have some trouble pretty quickly, so I have to obey those basic laws. That's what the Stoics believe. But the Cynics, in comparison, this is the interesting part, is they knocked it down a notch. They made it even more simplistic. They wanted to live independent of the laws of society. This is how they arrived at being ascetic in nature. And they felt that you should be living according to the nature of the universe, the laws of the universe, not just those of society. And Diogenes has a great quote on this matter. He says, "Humans have complicated every simple gift of the gods." Sounds like a philosopher to me, even though he was ascetic and disagreeable at times. He really hit on something there. We've complicated or overcomplicated things. Now, the next item, excuse me, is that Diogenes supposedly wrote 10 volumes of books on cynicism and related philosophy, but unfortunately, none of them have survived through history. So we only have fragments, but we do know that from those writings, we can understand the following ideas: that happiness is derived from virtue, that we should live in a very simple way, simple living, as the Taoists say today, that also the rules of society are unnatural and artificial in nature, and so we should beware of them. Also, Diogenes has a great quote that says, "I am a citizen of the world." And that is seen by some of the researchers that used the word cosmopolitan in that original quote and may have led to the term cosmopolitanism that we're looking at today. So the final thoughts I want to leave you with is that there is a great contrast that at the time that Diogenes was living, his worth as an individual for most people, most citizens, was that it was linked to your being a citizen of the state. And the Greeks believed that citizenship was very highly valued, but the Cynics just didn't like how some people were privileged in that system, and they felt that everyone should receive the same. So they had that very interesting idea for worth as an individual, very equal in a sense, equal for all. And I think that we can conclude that therefore Diogenes was not anti-community or anti-cosmopolitan, but he did show his allegiance to the universe. He wanted us to see that we're all members of the universe, and therefore we should answer to that higher standard and treat each other in that regard. And as a Cynic, he wanted us to live free in this universe, much like freedom. If you are a reader in philosophy today, a lot of different philosophy branches are talking about that freedom. What is our freedom in life? So this was Diogenes' view, is an interesting early view of what that freedom should be like and how we should be free from the rules of the city. So I think that's how what a cynic would want to help you as an individual. They would want to show you that this path that society has given you may be flawed, may be suspect, and therefore you should be free to explore the universe as an individual. So that's what I've got. Let me stop sharing and stop recording.